Over the past few years, we've been working with various different revenue operations teams. And today for you, I'm going to break down the exact revenue operations framework that we use with all of our clients. And this is really the revenue operations framework that you need to be implementing in your business. And today I've got the iPad out to walk you through this framework. So let's dive right into it. Why is RevOps never done? Imagine you had a sports team and your head coach, you could pick any sport you want, ran the same plays over and over again, right? In a continuous cycle. What would happen to that team? What would happen to that coach? Well, as you could imagine, their opponents would end up figuring out what they're doing and counter it. And essentially they would lose over and over and over again, right? Ultimately leading to a giant loss for both the team and coach. Well, RevOps is very similar to this. RevOps is a game of strategies, and you need to have the right strategy in place for the current market, the current world that you're operating in. The same play in RevOps doesn't always end up working, and most of the time, as time goes on, the market conditions and the world around you ends up changing. So let's talk about why this is really a problem. Number one, the market moves. Your target audience, the sophistication of the audience or the end customer, the market sophistication, the market positioning, the market offering, etc., all changes all the time, especially in today's AI world, right? What you know today does not necessarily hold true tomorrow. So as you can imagine here, as time goes on and customers become more educated, so we have here education and time, and as they get more educated and more time goes on, if your strategy were to remain the same, you would ultimately lose to your competitors. Because as you can imagine, as these customers continue to grow, their expectations change, their knowledge on the world changes, right? Competitors change. And if you continue to stay stagnant with the same exact plays and the same exact messaging as the market moves, all you're going to keep doing is dropping in market share while your competitors are increasing in market share. So as you continue to look at your RevOps operation, what holds true today may not hold true tomorrow or next week. And you need to be ready for these market moves and for these changes in the buyer psychology and in the competitive landscape. The next part here that we have as well is the technical debt. That CRM integration that you completed, a few years ago, may not contain the data that you need today. Because as this market continues to evolve, you're going to need to capture or change the data that you currently store. And why does this happen? Well, for a number of reasons. Number one, your data can become stale, right? You might not have the latest and greatest data out there. So ensuring that your data is accurate is going to be important. Number two, the way your team sells is different. We might find that today cold email is working really well, and tomorrow you need to be doing cold calls. And in order for your team to succeed in this new world, they need to have the right data in the CRM to pivot for this different sales strategy. So ultimately, what does this lead to? This ultimately leads to a workflow change. The workflows that you were using today may not work tomorrow. And what does this all lead to? The final result. Well, if the market around you has changed, the buyer psychology and buyer sophistication has changed, and your competitors have changed their offering, their messaging, and you haven't adapted, you ultimately get into this very bad cycle, which is, number one, you have a broken forecast. You're unable to forecast anything because your underlying data set and data implementation and your knowledge and your messaging is outdated. So what was working for you before is not working any longer, and your forecasting is now broken. This ends up leading to missed targets. And we all know what happens once you've missed your targets, right? Stakeholder issues. The folks at the top of the food chain are going to begin questioning what is going on and what is occurring here for these bad results that are occurring. And we've seen this time and time again. So we've put together a little framework that helps alleviate all of these pieces. And we've broken it down into three major components. And this is what we're calling the revenue operations or RevOps framework. This is the continuous loop of aligning strategy, technology, and insight. Number one, you have here strategy, which is the alignment of go-to-market plans, and they define your processes and set your revenue goals. Then you have the systems that implement technology and automate workflows and integrate the right tools for this strategy to succeed. And then lastly, you end up capturing over time, as you continue to pivot, new signals and monitor the output for success. So you need to continuously be refining your strategy, refining your systems, and then measuring the signals that are coming out of these to figure out is this working or not? Let's dive into each of these in a quick in-depth breakdown. Phase one is always strategy. This is where you're going to end up defining what are you trying to accomplish, and how are you going to get there. This is not something that you figure out once and you leave for the rest of time. No, this is something you need to continuously be reviewing and ensuring that you and your team are still aligned on what you're trying to accomplish and how you plan to get there. I recommend my clients to always be assessing what you need to define out your revenue targets, what your actual sales motion is going to be, your ICP, and lastly, your process design. So how do we do this? Let's say we have a target of a 2 million ARR. The process I would use here is working on reverse engineering your funnel to figure out how to get to your target. So looking at your funnel here, we have a couple pieces. So we have pipeline, we have opportunities, we have SQL, and then we have leads. We need to figure out how to work through this pipeline to generate 2 million ARR. So number one, I would make sure you have your revenue targets aligned, and then work your way backwards and reverse engineer your process, your ICP, and your sales motion to ultimately get you to your 2 million ARR target. Once we've done that, now we can dive into the systems. You need to figure out what systems you need to put in place to empower your team to reach your goal and achieve your goal. Here's where you have to do a deep analysis on once you've figured out your goal and you've reversed engineered it and you've put together sort of a sales motion, it's then time to figure out what systems help you reach those goals. By looking at things like your CRM setup, right? Such as things like fields, reports. We can also be looking at automations, which it could be things like setting up pre-meeting notes, post-meeting notes, ultimately creating automations that help your team achieve these goals more effectively and efficiently with the resources that you have. And then finally, thinking about the integrations and data flow to help you achieve all of this, such as setting up an MCP for your team. These systems are not some fluff or some unnecessary overhead. These systems all need to lead back to your revenue goal and allow you to achieve your revenue goal within the given time you've planned out for in your strategy. Lastly, once you've gotten your strategy and your systems in place, it is time to look at the signals and the results that you're getting back. Really, we should be asking ourselves, what is the data telling us? If you set up your systems correctly, you should be able to interrogate your signals relatively quickly to determine whether or not you've put together the right strategy and systems in place to allow you to reach your ultimate goal. For example, if you're running a multi-channel ad campaign, you need to be able to actively measure the different conversions and the different signals you're getting from whether it be Facebook, LinkedIn, Google Ads, etc., to determine whether or not, number one, your systems are operating effectively and you've set up the correct campaigns, and number two, if these campaigns will allow you to achieve your goals. After you start your Facebook or LinkedIn campaigns, you might end up finding that Google AdWords is king, and that is the number one source. So from your signal, you are able to determine, hey, maybe I should kill off Facebook and LinkedIn and reinvest all the money back into Google AdWords, because that will help me guarantee that I reach my ultimate goal in my strategy. So looking at signals is key to determining whether or not you're moving on the right path. Lastly, to close out here, there's a reason why this chart creates a circular loop, because when you've set up the correct strategy, systems, and signal, you end up getting compounding returns. If you were to revisit your strategy, which ends up leading to you revisiting your systems and then revisiting your signal on a quarterly basis, you would end up reaching your goals a whole lot quicker. And this is why we say RevOps is never done. RevOps is not a one silver bullet, one shot, one kill, and works for the rest of time. Especially in today's AI world, every day there is a new model, there's a new implementation, there's a new system that comes out that may impact your strategy and ultimately how your customers react and interact with your offering. And this is really what sets the good RevOps teams from the great RevOps teams. The great RevOps teams have figured this out, and they do this on a regular basis, and they're able to achieve their goals at a much higher rate due to this framework. With that said, guys, I hope this framework was helpful for you. Thanks so much for watching, and good luck out there.